Hello, I'm Victoria Broussard of the Law Office of Victoria Broussard, based in Houston, Texas. My client is Malachi Z. York, and he is currently serving a 135-year prison sentence in Supermax in Florence, Colorado, which is traditionally reserved for the worst of the worst criminals of all times. People who are domestic terrorists, rapists, criminal and serial murderers. These are the types of people that Mr. York is currently being housed with. My client was convicted of RICO Act violations and is currently serving 135 years. Now, RICO Act violations are the types of violations that traditionally you don't even have to prove up. There's such a low bar concerning proving those in the federal courts. A lot of people don't know what RICO actually is, so I want to set the record straight concerning what that means. RICO is R-I-C-O. It stands for Racketeering, Influenced, and Corruption Organizations. Basically, this means that the federal government can decide that you are influencing other people, you're doing it corruptly, you've organized people, and they consider that a racketeering offense. My client founded a church, and out of that, they found him guilty of RICO charges. The interesting thing about Malachi Z. York's case is that originally he was tried in the state court. When the state court could not make their case against him, the feds decided, let's just trump up some RICO charges on him and we can get him there. And that's exactly what they did. And not only did they get him, but they maxed out every single count, which is why he is in prison for 135 years unjustly, which was an overly harsh sentence, and he deserves to be freed. My law office is currently seeking a presidential pardon or commutation of Dr. York's sentence. One of the reasons why I'm doing this is because my client is 71 years old and suffers from hereditary angioedema. He is frequently found unconscious on his cell floor in need of desperate medical attention that he is not receiving. My client has done so much for so many people around the world. He is still revered and loved and would be immensely welcome back into the community if he were to be pardoned or his sentence commuted immediately. Not only was my client accused of crimes that created victims, which it did not, his property was also seized, and the proceeds of the sale of that property was not given to victims as many presumed that it was. However, it was given to the local and federal prosecuting agencies that put my client in prison for 135 years. If that's not an injustice, then you tell me what is. The most recent presidential clemencies were supposed to be for nonviolent, low-level offenders who had little or no significant criminal past history and no significant ties to criminal organizations. However, recently, that has not been the case. Case in point, the drug lord, Darrell Reed. Now, what my issue is how can his previous crimes not have been violent when he was such a high person in the drug scene? My client, on the other hand, was convicted of RICO, but they want to say that those crimes were violent. I beg to differ. If a person like Darrell Reed can be granted clemency, then so can my client. And you can help me to get this presidential pardon for my client. If you would please go to www.change.org and search my last name, Broussard, B-R-O-U-S-S-A-R-D, and sign our online petition letting the president know that you're passionate about this, that you are motivated to make a difference for a man who is deserving of it. I would greatly appreciate it if you would join me in this fight to free him. I'm Victoria Broussard, and I am asking you to help me end this injustice now. Thank you.